Introducing YouTube memberships, a fun way to support the channel while getting some exclusive perks. Click the join button to become a member now and get benefits like badges next to your name on videos, behind-the-scenes photos, advantages during the live trivia game, discounts on merchandise, private one-on-one video chats, the ability to request future video topics, and exclusive 8 to 10 minute videos on the history of the NFL. And now, on with our feature presentation. December 10, 2023. It's week 14 of the NFL season, and as the year is coming to a close, we've got an interconference game on our hands in Baltimore between the Baltimore Ravens and the Los Angeles Rams. For the main team in our story, the Ravens, this game is absolutely massive. As things stand, the Ravens enter this one at 9-3, sitting first in not just the AFC North, but as the number one seed in the AFC as well. A win in this game, and not only do they maintain their hold on the division and get one step closer to making the playoffs, but they get one step closer to getting a home field advantage throughout, and getting that coveted first round bye to bypass the wildcard round. If they want that number one seed, they have to win this game, and they can't afford to make any dumb mistakes. Which, yeah, we'll get to that. Because even though this game was a back and forth affair, with just under 5 minutes left in the game, the Ravens were leading 23-22, as the Rams were driving with 2nd and goal at the 5-yard line. That's when Matthew Stafford does a great job at climbing the pocket and finding Demarcus Robinson in the back corner of the end zone for the score. Just like that, the Rams have the lead. They lead at 28-23 and give themselves a chance to close this one out and pull off the upset win. It's a heck of a throw and play by Stafford, and a nice grab by Robinson. And with the Rams now lining up for the 2-point conversion to make this a 7-point game, the Rams are in a pretty good spot.
Baltimore is challenging the ruling on the field of a touchdown.
Wait, what? You're challenging the play? But why?
Well, he can't challenge. The ruling on the field was a touchdown, so all scoring plays are automatically reviewed.
Scoring plays are automatically reviewed as it is. There's nothing to challenge. They're literally already reviewing that. You're challenging a non-challengeable play. That's going to cost you a timeout. How do you think this is going to go? John Harbaugh, why are you challenging this play? Why are you challenging this play?
By rule, after a score, all reviews are made from upstairs. The team cannot challenge. By rule, we must charge a timeout.
Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something to look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something to look awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this can possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're going to take a look at the mind of Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh. I honestly have no clue what to make of Harbaugh this season. On one hand, the Ravens are looking like one of the best teams in football. Heck, they might be number 2 behind the San Francisco 49ers at this very moment. And they're the number 1 seed in the AFC, so clearly, Harbaugh is doing something right. On the other hand, the only reason they're not better is because of some absolutely brain-dead management decisions by Harbaugh. There was the awful play call at the end of the first half against the Pittsburgh Steelers that ultimately cost them the game, which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. There was one of the worst decisions of the season against the Indianapolis Colts, where he told Zay Flowers to fair catch a safety punt, even though the Ravens literally would have won the game if he did not fair catch the ball. You can learn more about that by clicking the card in the upper right corner. And now, you have this. No, it did not matter at the end of the day. The Ravens won the game in overtime in an absolute thriller. But it doesn't change the fact that this was any less stupid and one of the worst challenges I've ever seen. If I run onto a highway and don't get hit by a car, it doesn't change the fact that what I did was really idiotic. And that applies here. So with that being said, let's take a look at why throwing a challenge flag after a touchdown is a really bad idea. First off, let's just start with the obvious. I have no clue what the heck he was even challenging here. Usually on a play like that, you're challenging one of 3 things. Did he step out of bounds? Did he have 2 feet in bounds? And did he have possession? If one of those elements is in doubt, the challenge flag gets thrown in a spot like that. Alright, let's break down every element of this play. Did he get 2 feet in? Seeing as he not only got 2 feet in, but then took another few steps, and then landed in bounds with his entire body in bounds, yeah, there's no debate about that. Was the ball moving? Clearly not. The ball doesn't hit the ground. He's got control of the ball the entire time. And even safety Geno Stone, who is looking back at DeMarcus Robinson making this catch, isn't saying anything or gesturing anything about the ball hitting the ground. If you know anything about defensive backs, anytime a receiver goes to the ground, they'll flail their arms around saying the ball hit the ground and they didn't make the catch. The fact that Stone didn't do that here tells you everything you need to know. And did Robinson step out of bounds, thereby making him ineligible to touch the ball first? I mean, unless the end zone shrunk, and we're playing under the old rules of Foxborough Stadium where the Patriot font was behind the end zone, where if you're past the font, you're out of bounds, clearly, he stayed in bounds the whole time. There is no controversy here whatsoever. This is very clearly a touchdown. He got the feet in, the ball was in his control, and he stayed in bounds. Even if this was a regular situation, this is an absolutely idiotic challenge that would warrant a dumb decisions video. But this isn't a normal situation. It gets even worse, because this was a scoring play. And guess what? All scoring plays are automatically reviewed. You didn't need to throw the challenge flag here. In fact, it's been like this for over a decade now, where any touchdown gets an automatic review. You have to go back to 2010 to find the last time that scoring plays weren't automatically reviewed. So it's not like this was some oddball rule that you just forgot about. You've known this rule for at least the last decade. Everyone knows this. Everyone knows that a scoring play is automatically reviewed, and therefore, you don't need to throw the challenge flag. So let's weigh the risk and reward of throwing the challenge flag here versus not throwing it, like every other coach. If you don't throw the flag, the best case scenario is that the refs review it and this play is magically overturned, while the worst case scenario is that the refs review it and this play stands as a touchdown. Either way, they're reviewing it. Nothing's changing there. If you do throw the flag, the best case scenario is that the refs review it and this play is magically overturned, but you lose a timeout, because throwing the challenge flag on a non-challengeable play is an automatic loss of timeout. While the worst case scenario is that the refs review it and this play stands as a touchdown, but you lose a timeout for that exact reason. So the best case scenario by not throwing the flag is better than the best case scenario by throwing the flag. And the worst case scenario by not throwing the flag is better than the worst case scenario by throwing the flag. And it's not like those timeouts when trailing with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter could mean anything if your offense gets stopped and you have to get the ball back to the Rams and they try and run out the clock. Or if you need to mount a late drive of your own. It's not like that's an extra 40 seconds you just gave yourself no leeway with in a game where only 286 seconds remained. It's not like you possibly cost your team an extra few plays on a drive, or maybe gave the Rams one less first down that they need to pick up if they get the ball back. Seriously, what the heck was the logic here? Not that this play was anything close to a challengeable offense, but there was no incentive here. The best case scenario and the worst case scenario by throwing the flag are both worse than the best and worst case scenarios by not throwing the flag. It's actually impressive. Genuinely, it takes skill to call a play like this. Even the Joe Judge quarterback sneak on 3rd and 9. There is an alternate universe out there somewhere where that play goes for 98 yards and a touchdown. At least the best case scenario there, I guess, in some bizarre world, is that you score a touchdown. There is no universe where you benefit by throwing the flag here, because the outcome would be exactly the same with or without it, except you lose a timeout by throwing the flag at a moment when time is extremely valuable. But I don't want to harp on the obvious here that throwing the flag on a play that can't be challenged is stupid, because we all know this. I mean, maybe not John Harbaugh, seeing as he's been abysmal with challenges all season. His lack of challenges in the game against the Los Angeles Chargers had me seething with how dumb they were, because the Ravens passed up 2 obvious first downs when they got the spot and would have won the challenge easily. Maybe it's just a John Harbaugh thing against LA teams. Who knows? Rather, I wanted to hear his explanation for just why the heck he did this in the first place. And folks, you're not going to believe this. Because after the game, Harbaugh was asked about this, and he said, "It was more about getting the timeout. I thought maybe Demarcus Robinson stepped out of bounds." I know the replay officials look at that, but really what it was just getting organized for the 2-point play call. And look, if you wanted to take a timeout to get set for the 2-point conversion, I don't agree with that at all, but be my guest. But why did you throw the challenge flag? Why didn't you just call timeout? You could have needed that challenge later in the game. Why did you take a timeout but with extra steps for no reason? Today it's not a thing because the rules have changed. But imagine if in baseball, you want to intentionally walk a batter. So you take your pitcher out of the game, you bring in a new guy, he intentionally throws 4 straight balls, and then you take out that guy and bring in a new guy. Why would you do that? You just wasted a pitcher's chance of playing for no reason, even if you might need him later on in the game. If you're going to intentionally walk the guy, then leave the current pitcher in and then bring in the new guy, or bring in the new guy to intentionally walk. But don't put in a middleman with extra steps. That doesn't make any sense. And look, if you really thought that Demarcus Robinson stepped out of bounds, then you need glasses and you need your vision checked. I don't know what to tell you. But then Harbaugh continued, saying, "They go fast in those now. They don't give you time, really." What do you mean they go fast? They go fast on the 2-point conversion? How? When have you ever seen a team go no huddle on a 2-point conversion? Simple. Never. They never do, because it's dictated by the referee, since all touchdowns has to be confirmed in New York before play can resume. You never see a team score a touchdown, and then 5 seconds later, they're calling their 2-point conversion play, going no huddle, because that does not exist, and that does not happen. That's like suggesting as a batter that you called time before even stepping into the box, because you were scared that the pitcher was going to throw the ball while you were still walking up, even though that cannot happen. So the reason that Harbaugh wanted to stop an already stopped clock was because he was scared that the Rams were going to go with a no-huddle, hurry-up offense on a 2-point conversion, which is not allowed since the play has to be confirmed in the first place. But he threw a challenge flag to do this, even though he didn't think that Robinson was out of bounds. But maybe he was. You got all that? You got all of that? This is the man that is the head coach right now of the number 1 seed in the AFC. Make it make sense, because I've genuinely got nothing. I'll say this much as a Jaguars fan after watching the game between these 2 teams behind me right here. Next week, the Baltimore Ravens play the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday Night Football. It's a big game for the Jaguars, the first Sunday night game since 2008. And look, this team is not playing well right now, so John Harbaugh, I'm going to need you to do us a favor. Keep doing what you're doing. Burn challenges for no reason. Mismanage the clock for no reason. Burn timeouts for no reason. Just throw challenge flags whenever you want. Just because. We need all the help we can get. And I believe in you. Keep doing what you're doing. We would really appreciate it down in Duval. So what do we learn from all of this? Don't throw the challenge flag on scoring plays. Don't throw the challenge flag on obvious plays. Don't throw the challenge flag on obvious scoring plays. If the best case scenario in option A is worse than the best case scenario in option B, while the worst case scenario in option A is also worse than the worst case scenario in option B, then don't pick option A. Just don't pick it. If you were in a close game, the last thing you want to do is waste timeouts and challenges for no reason. So don't do that. If you want to call a timeout, then just call a timeout. Don't call the timeout with extra steps and risk the possibility that you won't have a challenge flag later in the game. And if you're worried about made-up hypothetical scenarios that never happen, and quite literally can never happen, like going no huddle on a 2-point conversion, then maybe you should stop worrying about those and worry about other things. Just a thought. Because when all of these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Get your official Jaguar Gear 9 merchandise by going to jj9shop.com, and be sure to like and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out a lot. Join me every Wednesday night where we'll play NFL Trivia for cash prizes at 9 p.m. Eastern over on Twitch. To learn more about the history of college football, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 8. To learn more about the history of Major League Baseball, subscribe to Jaguar Gator 7. Also, special thanks to all of our Patreon supporters for helping out the channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. See how you can become a patron and request future video topics in the description below.